Hey everybody! Well, today's video is my Chikuhodo brush video. As I mentioned to you in my last video, and I of course tweeted about, I was finally able to purchase a couple of brushes from this phenomenal line. Now they're very, very hard to come by. I will try to explain a little bit about the process that I went through, which I think a lot of people probably wouldn't want to go through, although I have to say the experience was 100% positive. And if you want to email me and find out the full details about it, I would be glad to give you all of the information, as well as give you my assurance that you will have absolutely no problem with it whatsoever. So I had seen and heard about these brushes for quite a while now. I had read a couple of really great blogs, a couple of my favorite bloggers. I'll actually put links to their blogs down below. And I only found like one or two videos on the brushes, but I kept hearing about them every so often, and I was really curious. Of course, you know my love for brushes, so I was really curious to see if I could purchase a few of them. So initially I actually had someone that I worked with that was planning a trip to Japan, and she promised me that she would go in and purchase the brushes for me. I made her promise that she wouldn't gasp if she saw the prices, but she said that she would get it, and unfortunately her trip got canceled. Then a really lovely subscriber sent me some information about a website and a company in Sweden where they could be purchased from, and I did get in touch with that company, but as of right now, they're out of stock and expecting to get more brushes back in March. So I am quite a determined little bugger, and I really kept at it to try to see if I could find these brushes. So I decided to email the company directly in Japan, hoping that they would get my email and would respond to me, which they did. And as I said, it was an absolutely 100% positive experience that I had with them. So I contacted them and I asked them about getting the brushes, and they did tell me that as of right now they don't have a US link, they don't have an overseas actually shipping department, so they're really not set up to sell the brushes overseas. But if I was willing to prepay plus pay for the shipping, they would arrange it for me, and I said sure, why not. So I decided to pick out two brushes, the two brushes I'm going to share with you today, and they sent me an invoice saying how much it would be plus how much the shipping would be, and I'll give you all that information. And they requested that I prepay them by a wire transfer, which I did. So I know a few of you are already like probably closing your eyes and thinking, okay, that's way too much for me. How much do you really love these brushes? Well, I really love these brushes, so much so that I absolutely will be purchasing additional brushes from them. Okay, so enough chatter, Debbie, right? I'm sure a lot of you are thinking that. Just show us the brushes. So the first brush that I want to share with you is their highlight brush. Now, a very small detail that they do that I really like, that is actually one of my pet peeves with the Chikuhodo brushes, and those of you that have them will understand what I'm speaking about, is the fact that they actually put the name of the brush directly on the handle. And let me get really close so I can show you this, how it says the highlight brush. So for those of you that have the Chikuhodo brushes, at least for me, I have several of them that are very similar, and so I'm constantly going to look up what the brush is, because if somebody asks me a question about it, and they're always numbers too, they're G and like 4 or 5 numbers, which makes it really difficult to memorize. I love the fact that these have the name imprinted directly on the handle. Now, the handles are a little bit on the short side, which I don't mind at all, but they are also a little bit thicker than the Chikuhodo brushes and several other brushes that I have. These are natural hair, and they are absolutely divine. They are so incredibly soft. I'd have to say that my 3 top softest brushes are probably my Chikuhodo, my Suku, and now my Chikuhodo, which definitely kicks them all to the curb. This is just a phenomenal brush. As a matter of fact, I've been trying out the ambient powders, and I've sort of been on the fence about them. I get the whole hype about them, but I think because I don't use finishing powders normally is really what my learning curve is. But once I tried it with this brush, it made all the difference in the world, because it picks up just the smallest amount of product and just puts it on your face just perfectly. It works just phenomenally. So this is just an amazing, amazing brush. To give you a comparison between this and one of my other brushes, I'm going to compare it to one of my Chikuhodos. Now this is the one I'm going to have to look down for one of the numbers, because this is what I'm talking about with the Chikuhodo numbers. This is the G5521. And this is also their highlight brush, or their pointed highlight brush. So you can see that this is the Chikuhodo one, and in comparison to the Chikuhodo, let me line up the ferrules exactly the same. You can see that the Chikuhodo is a little bit longer in the handle, so hopefully you can see that the Chikuhodo is much wider than the Chikuhodo, and I happen to like that. It fits really well in the hand, and I think that's why I don't mind it being a little bit on the shorter side. But you can see as far as the heads go, the Chikuhodo is definitely much bigger than the Chikuhodo, but it's the most similar as far as the shape of the head, so I thought that would be a fairly good comparison. So now as far as price goes, this was 625 yen. I'll let you look up the conversion depending on where you are. I will tell you that with shipping, the two brushes that I'm going to show you was about $188 US dollars. So this is 625 yen, and the Chikuhodo is $34 plus whatever your shipping charges are. So the next brush that I picked up from them is their cheek highlight brush. And let me see that I get that for you so you can see the name up close. And another absolutely phenomenal brush. Once you place this against your skin, I think that you'll be playing you'll probably go into a trance and just keep stroking your face, which is what I think I was doing the first day and a half that I was playing with it. And then I said, get serious and really try these out so you can do your review. But it's just absolutely a phenomenal brush. Now the brush that I'm going to compare it to that I think is the closest is my Tsuko cheek brush. And you can see it's a very similar design to that. I have heard people mention that they believe Chikuhodo may be actually the company that produces the Tsuko brushes. I'm not sure about that. And you will see that the length of this is actually very similar. The top one is the Tsuko and the bottom is the Chikuhodo. So they're very similar in length. Again, the Chikuhodo is a much wider handle, and I really like that a lot. But I think you can see as far as the heads of the two brushes, they're very similar. This is the Chikuhodo, and this is the Tsuko brush. Again, the Tsuko brush is extremely soft, and it was my #1 brush as far as softness. But the Chikuhodo ones are, I would believe, one step above. It is definitely one of the softest brushes that I've ever felt, and definitely the softest of all the brushes that I own. So price-wise, the Tsuko is 85 pounds or 127 US, and the Chikuhodo is 6,300. Now these brushes also have numbers associated with them besides the names. The highlight brush, this brush is also called the Z2, and the cheek highlight brush, this one over here, is also called the Z4. So again, between the shipping and the cost of the brushes, they were about $188 US. I will tell you that at every step along the way that I emailed back and forth to the company, they answered every email fairly promptly. When the brushes shipped, they shipped on a Monday and I received them on a Friday. I have to say that there are a lot of websites in the United States that I order from that I don't get my products that quickly from. Quickly to show you how they arrived in an envelope that looked like that, and they were wrapped very well and placed into a bag that looks like this. You can see it says Chico on one side, Hodo on the other. I thought perhaps it would open up and you'd see it all together, but it doesn't. It just is on one side and on the other. But they did a phenomenal job of packaging it also. So all in all, this has just been a phenomenal experience for me, from dealing with the company to receiving the products and definitely having them and using them. They are absolutely exceptional brushes. I cannot recommend them highly enough. I only hope that the company figures out a way to set up a website and make it available for everyone, because I know, especially for all the rest of you brush lovers out there, you would love having one of these in your collection. So that's it, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that video. Any questions, of course, leave me down below and I'll be sure to get back to you as quickly as possible. Again, for those of you that are interested in purchasing the brushes and want to know my experience, just send me a message here on YouTube and I'll be glad to give you the full information. Take care, everyone. Speak to you soon.